And they're off. Here we go.
Dirt Church Radio, episode 278. Kia ora, I'm Matt Raymond, no mai, haere mai, and welcome to the 2024 Ultra Trail Australia by UTMB special and live Q&A. Now, you notice there is no Eugene this week. He was unwell, unfortunately, and couldn't come to UTA, so I was aided and abetted with the mighty Ali Pottinger, also Ben Berriman and Dave Stewart from the other side of the ditch. What you are about to hear is a wrap-up of day one, first off with myself, Dave and Ben. Then you'll hear myself and Ali at the fabulous library at the Fairmont wrapping up day one. You will hear us go through day two in the live show, then an end of the day wrap up around the Women and Trail panel, which raised some really interesting questions. Then what we'll be doing is getting into a post-event wrap-up, and that was done sitting at the top of the Ferber stairs with Ali Pottinger and I. So please strap in, grab some popcorn, and enjoy.
Does it like further, faster, there in Christchurch. Rocky is hairy and so is Badger. Jules is nice and Jacob is delicious. Go to further, faster now.
Oh, further, faster, there in Christchurch. Rocky is hairy and so is Badger. Jules is nice and Jacob is delicious.
Go to further, faster now.
Church Radio.
All right, I'm joined by... State your name for the record.
Dave Stewart.
And you are?
Benjamin Berriman.
What have we been doing today? How was today?
We've been on the microphone yet again here for the 11K at Ultra Trail Australia.
It's bloody good, eh?
It's awesome. It's just, I've missed this day the last 2 years for various reasons, and to be here for this as the opening day, it just reminds me of how good the 11 is.
Some cracking, just to kind of keep this short, we're sitting here, and not to get all like, oh, here we are in the Majesty, it's getting a bit cold. Highlights of the day for you?
Yeah, look, as Ben just touched on, it's the 11K kicks off what is the Ultra Trail Australia Festival, and it's the opening day. It's exciting, it's new, there's nerves, but one of the exciting stats that came out of today, 65% of the field was brand new to not only Ultra Trail Australia, but to the 11K. So that meant that percentage of the people that were out there today were doing this for the very first time. So that challenge that they were setting themselves to be here, they've heard about this event or whatever it is, they were here on the start line, and it was absolutely sensational just to see that response. And we saw a lot of first-timers come across today, and that was a real highlight.
Ben?
Yeah, I think outside some of the incredible performances and the heroic finishes at the other end of the day, I think the thing that stood out to me was the strong family factor we saw coming through. There was a few family names, we heard Gosby's, Boyan, Garvin's, 10 plus family members competing either today or over the weekend. But then I think the specific one within that is within that Gosby family, young Isla, our youngest female competitor. It's her birthday today, and she won her age group. I think that was an awesome way, a piece that came out of the day today for me.
Yeah, that family thing, it resonates, doesn't it? And we saw right throughout the day, we saw lots of couples come over. We saw people with kids coming over, and we saw families running today together. We saw, that group of people, Archie's club. We'll talk about that more, I guess. But that again is a family coming together. And we talk about sort of the celebration, but these can be ways of people moving through grief, ways of people moving through some real challenges. So yeah, I'm bang on there with you that this is it's been that family factor. Yeah. Highlight for me, hanging out with you boys. I really, really thoroughly enjoy both your company and Ali's. I mean, she was running herself, so but getting that, like you said, getting back on the bus almost, isn't it? You as we said, it's an ultra marathon for the larynx over the next couple of days. So, what are you most looking forward to over the next couple of days?
Yeah, I think it's a continuation of seeing people that have set themselves a challenge and knowing they've gone through various phases of adversity through the day to the realisation that that's the finish line and they've just done the thing that they didn't always think they could do. To me, I'm looking forward to that, into our 22 and our 50 and 100, just more of that. And I'm assuming we're going to keep seeing more of that shared experience as well with, partners, friends, family groups that are coming across the line. So that's me. That's what I'm looking forward to.
Where are you, Dave?
Yeah, look, over 7,000 runners, humans over the whole festival here. It's only going to get bigger. We've got a red hot field in the 50 and the 100, and that's going to be exciting. And we saw that today. Even it was the old ninja versus the new ninja, so to speak, with 4-second gap in between Dave Byrne, a veteran of Ultra Trail Australia, and then Elijah Gosby in second. What is going to unfold? We've got a hot field, but it's what's going to unfold. We've had some changes, but this is the other thing that I'm just so excited about is we're here. We're at Scenic World. The sun has been shining today. We've come through adversity yet again. There's, people talk about, oh no, there's all these changes, but we're here, and the atmosphere here today, if it's anything to go by what's going to be happening here by the time we get to Sunday, wow.
Wow, indeed. Right, our breath is steaming in the air. Let's go get warm. Thanks, boys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh my lord. Well, Ali, where are apologies to producer Eugene. This site we are in bears describing. Where are we?
We are at the Fairmont Resort, it sits atop cliff tops. It has beautiful views out over Mount Solitary and the Blue Mountains. And we are currently sitting in the library of the Fairmont, and it is quite ornate. I would probably use the word ornate. Little bit like that kind of old, musty, classy kind of, like there's a
hand-tooled leather couch in the corner. There's orchids behind you. There is tapestries on the wall. We've got a mahogany desk in the corner there. Yeah.
A large bookcase with colourful books that look classy.
The Jackie Collins one's there.
Is it Jackie Collins? I didn't see that.
Bit horny, Jackie Collins. So but it aristocratically horny. So maybe it fits with the vibe.
I don't know where to go with that, man.
Day one of UTA. What was your highlights?
Well, I actually got to run today, so my highlight was seeing everybody out on the trails, and like the UTA 11 is kind of like the family race, and so one of the biggest highlight was actually running up behind these two ladies, well, one young lady, so a mum and her daughter, and they had matching braids with blue ribbons in their hair and matching outfits. And I was like, oh, is this your first race? And the daughter was like, yeah, it's my first race. And we were just kind of having a little chat. And I just thought, oh, that's so cool. Like, what a great spot. Like, what a great opportunity to get, kids out on the trails, exploring the amazing Blue Mountains and, and over challenging terrain. Like, that course was tough.
What was the toughest part about it?
Just this constant steers. There's just so many steers. I don't even know how many steers are in the 11K, but probably at least a couple of thousand, if not 3,000 steers over 11Ks. So it's a steer deads race.
Yeah, that's and I mean going up Giant to finish. That's Again, I think I've said it, there's some misnomered trail features, but Giant Staircase is a giant staircase.
Giant Staircase is aptly named. I always say that, and it is. It's a real kind of straight up, like Australia just kind of do steel ladders basically up the side of a cliff, and that's what Giant Staircase is. Yeah. And the other highlight actually was Tom Landon-Smith. So Tom Landon-Smith is the race founder alongside Alina McMaster. So they kind of just created this race 16 years ago, and he was right near Honeymoon Bridge at the top of Giant Staircase, and he was just cheering up a storm, just shouting like, get on the train of goodness, how good is Giant Staircase, just like clapping and shouting. And I was just cracking up because I thought, you know what, he's probably had more people pass him today going up Giant Staircase in the 11K than did the very first what was then, I think, I don't even know what it was first called, if it was called the North Face to start, but now it's called Ultra Trail Australia. And I just thought, man, this is amazing. Like, look how it's growing. Look how many people are out on the trails. And it's great to see Tom still enjoying it. Like, yeah, he was just buzzing. It was awesome. It was so cool.
I always think that about, Tom, Alina, and I think about Paul Charteris, how it must be a sense of, I wonder if it is a sense of kind of awe or a sense of like satisfaction or a sense of just like, holy moly, this has been, same thing with, gosh, what was the first tarawera? That was under 60 people, wasn't it? Yeah. There or thereabouts. And then there's this, there's thousands and thousands of people at this event. I wonder if that was in the scope to start off with.
I guess with tarawera, Paul had that kind of, he had the American dream, so to speak. So he'd been over and he'd seen what trail running was like in the States and wanted to bring it to New Zealand. So I think Paul probably imagined it more like what it is today. I'd still probably not to the extent it is. Tom and Al come from that real rugged, adventure racing, hearty outdoors. So I think they probably would never have imagined where it has gone. But I know that all of them just love seeing people push their boundaries. So I think I can probably speak for them and say that they're fully stoked to see so many people out there just enjoying nature.
Yeah, this word adventure racing, it's come up. It's felt like on Dirt Church Radio, like we've been talking to people who do adventure racing. It seems like it just breeds people who are a little, there's just a degree of, I'm not going to say, I don't think, that's crazy, but just people that are a little bit cooked. Right?
Definitely. There's something about the people that do it that you've got to be able to, just kind of trudge, like not knowing where you're going. Like when Al did, oh my goodness, now I've got a brain fart. What's the one in New Zealand? Godzone. And we were tracking her and Tom was like, oh no, she's stuck halfway up a cliff and it's like the night. So there's got to be a bit of that, right? Where you're just like willing to just be out there in the elements, totally kind of, I guess, at their whim. Yeah, just finding your way.
What are you most looking forward to about the next 3 days?
The people, actually. Today I took a lot of photos on my run of the people that I love that are part of this event. So I'm just looking for more time with them and seeing everyone that's coming across that finish line and recognizing what it means to them. So, yeah, I've got a little bit of a wet eye happening. Like, I'm pretty excited about it because, yeah, I know, like, I don't know if you heard about Tracy Hickman recently. So she, I got an email, actually, was it last week? The week before? I'm trying to remember. Anyway, she emailed basically saying, oh, look, Ali, like I'm basically riddled with cancer. Yeah. I'm going to utilize the ability to choose assisted dying and I'm going to pass away on May 22nd. I've got a bit of running gear left that I'd like to give to people that I just don't want it to go to Sally's. I want it to go to people that actually run and that will appreciate it. And so we caught up and she gave me her shoes that she'd run in Antarctica in. And she said to me, this time last year I did UTMB 100K and, thank you for helping me through it. And I was like, mate, I didn't do anything. You got yourself through it. But that really hit home, like that, we don't know where we're going to be in a year's time. We don't know what's around the corner, but these moments like really, really matter to people. Like that's her about to kind of to leave this world. And she's really grateful for the opportunity that she had to run UTMB 100 this time last year. Mm-hmm. And so I think that's just kind of reminded me of really how special it is to be able to do these things and to spend time with the people while we can.
It's amazing when you sort of touch on that, you think about just not many of us will be able to pinpoint the time of our own passing, but thinking about that, like it is, as we're recording this, it is the 16th.
Yeah.
Having a date is, and it's you've touched on something because today, I was going to say, if we had put a bet on who was going to cry first like we did at Cozzy, you would have lost because Bero and I both cried today. Oh yeah, absolutely, both of us. But in terms of a situation which was, it's not about, yay, we're here together and doing this amazing thing because trail running is amazing. It's like we're a family or a extended family moving through grief and trying to cope with it. And that's the wonder of this space and this place. And it's not about, I think for some people, it's not about the mountains. It's not about that this is this amazing space. It's about like they can come together and have sort of a solace together and grieve together and move together. It's absolutely astounding, isn't it?
Yeah, that was actually something that I felt on my run today, because if you look at my photos, I think I took maybe 10 photos, and one of them was of the scenery and the rest was selfies with people that I love. And it was just because I was like, I'm just so excited to be here with them, and we get to be together for this, 4 days of the year that we all just love in a place that we love. So yeah, it is. It's kind of, and we have these shared stories and we create these memories together, which is, I guess that really ties community into each other.
Yeah, I was thinking today, being over here by myself.
You're not though.
Well, no, I'm not. But allow me my melancholy.
Okay. You can have your melancholy. You can.
I was like, he's not here. And there's so much, and of course I'm preaching to the choir about that. But like, it's that sense of like, my mate's not here, and like in the Dirt Church Radio policies, it's like, okay, don't give Matt the technical gear, and I've got all the technical gear. Like we, that's in the charter. But then seeing everyone, you're so right. It was just this sense of excitement and the sense of like, yeah, okay, cool. I know these people. I love these people, and this is great. So, yeah, that's what I'm looking forward to over the next 3 days. The racing feels incidental, to it. I mean, it'll be tasty as I'm sure, but yeah, it's that I'm really looking forward to for myself being in those witching hours, in the dark with people, and being able to bring people over. It's such a bloody privilege. Yeah,
I agree. It is, and I think we're lucky, right? Like I feel lucky that I get to be on the mic with you guys and to be able to celebrate these people when we can appreciate what they've done, what it means to them kind of their backstories and also just the enormity of the terrain and the achievement. It's pretty special.
So special. My favourite moment, well, one of my favourite moments today, this gentleman came over, he's one of the last people through, and he was carrying something. And I was like, what's he got in his hand? And he had his pack on, but he had another pack in his hand, like complete other bit of running kit. And he'd taken it off his wife, who was coming up. She was on Struggle Street, but he grabbed a pack and sort of taken off. And there was all sorts of people. There's a woman who'd been on crutches for 90 minutes. On crutches, and had then ditched them, I think, at the top of Ferber and sort of run in, and her partner had run in and came through, and we were like, this human being doesn't look like it took them this long. So the partner came in, and we were like, you don't, you can't, like, and he just kept going. He just kept going, and then came out round, and but we had Uncle Dave as well. Uncle Dave King, he was playing people in.
Oh.
Yeah. With his sticks, the clapping sticks,
clap
sticks. He was clapsticking. He was coming in with people. It was tingles down the spine. So, all right. Well, I'm excited for tomorrow. You got a big day. You've got the Women in Trail Q&A.
Mm-hmm.
You've got the Race Directors Q&A, and you times two, and you've got the Dirt Church Radio Q&A, which I'm really excited that you're jumping in with me for. So I better let you rest your voice. But thank you, and can't wait to catch up tomorrow.
Me too. Bring it on.
Well, kia ora everyone. My name's Matt Raymond. This is Ali Pottinger, and we would like to welcome you to the Ultra Trail Australia by UTMB Elite Q&A for 2024. So, Ali, you've been hot on the mic today. How was, running through this? Isn't your first Q&A of the day? How was the Race Directors Q&A?
Oh, it was great. We had Nick Christopher, and we actually were accompanied by Tom Lennon Smith as well. So, the two guys that know the most about the race, just talked over all things to do with kind of courses and things to consider. But now we get to talk to the people running it. Yeah, it's pretty good. I mean, how was this morning's 22K start? What was that like out at Queen Victoria Hospital? Loved it. It was really cool. Uncle David King did a bit of a welcome to country, and he got the clapsticks out, a bit of smoking ceremony, and it was all kind of hanging over the start line. And then as the light started filtering through, it was just beautiful, and people were really excited. It was a really nice atmosphere. I haven't been down to the finish. How was that? Yeah, the finish was excellent. So it was it's always an amazing vibe to see, what do you call them? Shiny diamonds coming through, coming in absolutely hot, gassed, with nothing left in the tank. And that was cool. It was really, really cool. When the floodgates opened and the tide of humanity started rushing in, that's when it really kind of picked up. It's packed down there. There's heaps of people and just super good vibes. Lots and lots and lots of traumatized calves and quadricep insults happening. Yeah, I think people are finding it pretty tough, but that's why you come here, right? Absolutely. Bit of a challenge. I think that's the worst cramp I've ever witnessed, is at the finish line of UTA one year with a man whose calf muscles looked inverted like Alien, and he shouted at me, "Don't just stand there, do something." Don't just stand there, do something. Yeah. I heard the most incredible direction from one of the nurses to a gentleman who was lying stiff as a board, sort of wedged underneath one of the standards. It's not for this podcast, but it was the most incredibly appropriate and practical piece of medical advice I've ever heard. I'll look forward to hearing it, Matt. It's keeping with the theme, we were talking about in the library last night. But look, let's crack on and get people up here who you people came to see. So first up, I'd like to invite returning champion. He was here last year and good enough to come and speak to us at the Elite Athlete Q&A.
returning champion to this stage. He's also he smashed Tarawera 50, come in second place this year. He was second place at this year's Buffalo Stampede, and he's competing in the 50k tomorrow. Please put your hands together for ASICS athlete Charlie Hamilton.
Yay!
Hello. How are we going to do? Okay, this is a real tough one. There's no softball questions here. Okay.
That's okay.
Hey Charlie, thanks for coming back for another chat. How have you been?
Yeah, I've been pretty good. Since I was here last, I got to go over to Europe for a few months, which was absolutely awesome. Ran over at OCC. Running the mountains in Chamonix was just awesome. And then, I was off at Tarawera at the start of the year. Buffalo Stampede. Now I'm back here at UTA for another year.
Does it... Coming back, I mean, is it carbon copy every year? Not carbon copy in that you do sort of thing cynically, but, running is something that you do well. What is it, coming back year after year at UTA? What's the appeal?
Well, I think trail running in particular, because the races are so long, there's so many options for things to go wrong or right. And coming back to a race really means that I think you get the opportunity to, learn a bit and try and put in what you did. Like last year, I made a few mistakes. Last year, things didn't go as well as planned. And I think now coming back, I'm aware of what happened and I know what I need to do to try and run a little bit better.
What is there's a sphere of influence, sphere of control, right? And one is bigger than the other. There's stuff you can influence and there's stuff you can control. What is the things that you'll be, not to put too fine a point in it, what are the things that you'll be looking to kind of maybe set right or do a bit more elegantly than last year?
I don't know. That's a tough question to ask. I guess maybe in training, I have a lot more confidence this year, and that's because the running has gone really well, and I know that my fitness is really good. But in terms of being able to control it, it's hard, especially when this year there's so many good runners, and it's going to be so fast. So it's just kind of about not freaking out, just doing my thing for as long as possible, and then once you start coming out of the valley, there's nothing you can really control. It's just, full gas.
We're looking forward to seeing you full gassing it. We saw you full gas it at Tarawera, and that was second place for you. So, and one of my highlights was actually seeing your family cheering you in at the finish line. Obviously, they're really proud of you. This is actually Matt's question, really. Were there any conversations growing up when your plan A was being a professional athlete and your plan B is being in a rock and roll band?
Yeah. Well, that's funny. That actually wasn't my family. That's my partner's family.
Oh, it's not even your...
Yeah, Lily over there. It was awesome because that was kind of the first time I'd been overseas with them, and the first time I'd met Lily's auntie and uncle, and they had the best time. Lily's dad now knows all about trail running. He's following the results. He was talking to me sometimes. He's like, I think you can beat this David Hammerschmidt guy. I know he's got you before, but so it's so cool. Having that experience with them there was absolutely awesome. It was so special.
That's amazing. And you know what? They clearly were just vibing on it because I was like, that's totally his family. They are. That's his dad. So proud.
Yeah, no, it's great. And now it's awesome to have. Yeah, he's really excited about it. He wants to do one of these events. He wants to try and walk one and finish a big 20K, so he loves it.
Oh, that's wicked. 'Cause, we always say you don't know what ripples the stone has in the pond, and clearly yours is actually making some ripples to your future in-laws maybe.
Yeah, it's nice.
The Capital Cowboys. Last night, Matt was showing me a super cute video on Instagram, and you and Mikey seem like you've got a good thing going on. How important is a solid training partner in a build-up to a race?
Oh, it's good. I would never give Mikey too much credit. I couldn't do that to him. But it's absolutely awesome. He lives around the corner from me. He's at my house every day and we run together every day. So it's so cool to have someone that's so good to be able to run with. You didn't hear that. I can't slack off in training because he's right behind me, just going to come past me anytime I do. So it's really nice. And then it's cool to come to an event like this and, we do all our running together and we've got the same goals in the different race. So that's really cool.
How surreal is that bathroom with the horse statue? Like, it's like a plastic horse. I was really excited. I was like, I've used that bathroom. And I was really, again, quite in wonder of that horse. It's quite a random thing, isn't it? Blue Mountains.
That's one of those special moments when you're on the trail and you really need to find a bathroom, and, there was a bathroom there, so we're glad it was.
And what a bathroom to find.
Yeah, with the horses, really. There's some actual horses there too. That's really cool. Coming through Fairmont, everyone, keep your eye out. Just after Fairmont, there's like a little horse stable there. It's beautiful.
It's, Capital Cowboys, whose idea?
Oh, I don't know. We're such fans of the sport. We always love the Coconino Cowboys, Jim Walmsley and Jared Hazen and the like. So I don't know. We just want to make something funny.
There's nothing wrong with having a good name.
Yeah.
It's a good name. But speaking of the capital, Canberra, there are some solid runners out of Canberra. It's a bit of a hub. What do you think it is about the place that brings, such a wealth of experience and performance to the sport?
Now, I'm glad you asked me that. I'm happy to talk about Canberra as much as possible. Yeah, I think it's...
He's actually working for Destination Canberra.
Yeah, no, it's such a good place for running. Like, I live a kilometre away from the city, but either way from my house, 2Ks, and I'm on trails for however long I want. We drive half an hour and we've got, 800-metre climbs. It's just... The running there is awesome. And in terms of the runners, we've got so many strong people. Mike Carroll, who came second here last year, Mikey, myself... Jess Ronan, who just came second in the 22. Really, every time we go for a run, there's someone to run with that's an incredible runner, and they have really good goals. So it's really nice to have that, to be able to push by people, and you kind of see other people how hard they're working, and it just makes you want to work hard as well.
Do you think it's something about Canberra being sort of it's not a storied place? It's known for being the seat of government and rowing. And I watched a spy drama that was set in Canberra, the Arctic. Yeah, it's really, really good. But is there a sort of that underdog mentality?
Yeah, I think a lot of people come to Canberra and they don't like it. Like, it might be the most exciting place to visit, but to live in, it's awesome. I'm from Wagga Wagga, like a pretty small town, and I get the small town vibes just with slightly more facilities and infrastructure around. So it's really nice.
And the running there is awesome, right? Like, you've got good flat running, but you've also got heaps of mountains to keep you entertained too.
Yeah, with some proper mountains out the back. It's really gorgeous.
Plans for the rest of the year?
After this, I'll have a little break, and then Hounslow Classic, which is just up the valley on the other side. It's a pretty gorgeous race. It looks pretty brutal, actually. Then I think I'm going to head to Korea for the Australian Pacific Trail Running Championships. And then actually, into your backyard, I got a ticket into Kepler. So really excited.
Oh, that is juicy. That's exciting.
Yeah, I've looked at that race so many times. It looks like Dan Jones just can't be beat there, but it might be nice to go and have a little run with him.
I don't know, man. This year, you mentioned David Houndschmidt. He was... I think there's 2 minutes between them at Rainbow Reach, which was the 10-minute mark, and David was running with blisters on his feet about that size. So I don't know. It'll be a hard ask, but I think it can be done.
Yeah, if all goes well for David, it'll be interesting to see how it unfolds. So you'll have some good company there, I'm sure.
Yeah, David's such a quality runner. I raced him at Tarawera last year, actually, and he had a blinder. It was pretty crazy to watch how strong he was. So I'm really excited to race him again. I saw him in Chamonix, actually, just during OCC. He kind of ran past me, then I ran past him. So I'm really looking forward to racing him again.
That's awesome. On to the main event. How's music going?
Yeah, sad thing. We haven't been doing as much lately. Yeah, I miss playing shows, but rock and roll and running don't really mash that well. Playing a show at, actually, funny story, when I raced the 22K here, I think in 2021, I raced here. It was one of my first big trail races. I won and then had to head straight to Sydney, and we had a show in Sydney that night. So I was trying to walk off the stage that night, with my amp and my bass, and I really couldn't get down the stairs there. It was pretty miserable.
Yeah, there's a Venn diagram, right? But it's hard having competing passions. Look, we'll go well tomorrow. I'll ask this question. I'm going to ask it of everyone. If, there's a high percentage of people tomorrow who will be doing 50K for the first time, 100K for the first time in the Blue Mountains, they'll be sort of quietly bricking it, really nervous about tomorrow. What's one piece of advice or something that you'd like to share about tomorrow for someone who is competing at this distance in this place for the first time?
Just eat. Like, it's so funny. You run a race and you maybe have a gel or two and you feel pretty terrible towards the end. But if you run a race and you eat the whole time and you make that your focus, it's unbelievable how good you'll feel towards the end. And yeah, that's just eat your food. That's all I can really say.
It's great advice there.
Everyone, please give a big hand for Charlie Hamilton. All right. Well, next up, I mean, we've had one half of the Cowboys. I'd like to invite up. I'm going to use it. You coined it. I'm going to use it. Come on up, Mikey Dimunates, Charlie's partner in crime, fellow Capital Cowboy, winner of the Buffalo Stampede 20K Sky Run, 6th at Tarawera 102 this year, and 4th at the Cozzy 100K last year. Line up the 100K tomorrow. Mikey, how you doing?
Yeah, pretty good. Trying to stay relaxed ahead of race day. We're just, feeling good. Excited to be here. It's a really nice, beautiful day and beautiful to be in the mountains again. So, yeah.
So you've raced here before. What do you think it takes to be successful at a race like UTA?
I guess it depends on what your measures of success are. I think you just need to prepare really well for whatever your goals are for the event. Try and be as specific as you can. And then on race day, just try and stay really relaxed for the first half of the course. I think particularly in the 100, the first lap can really draw people in, and then when you get to Nelly's Glen, the wall will fall on top of you if you're not relaxed for the first half. So yeah, just good preparation, relaxation on race day, and then yeah.
I mean, this is a kind of a meta question, but what led you, here you line up 100K tomorrow, you're fancying your chances. What led you here? Where did your sort of first taste of sport or first taste of trail running, where did that happen?
So I guess it started in Canberra because I went to uni in Canberra and we did a lot of like row gaining and orienteering in the bush. So a lot of my nicest memories from when I was young in Canberra were just spending hours wandering around the bush with my friends, row gaining. And then when I left uni to move to Perth, there was kind of this hole where endurance and being in the bush for a long time was. And I saw trail running as a really good way of fulfilling that. But UTA, it's obviously the biggest on the East Coast. So like I had a lot of friends that were doing it in 2020 whenever I did it for the first time. And yeah, just had a really good time that first year. And then decided to come back because I had such good memories from it, basically.
That's awesome. And bringing that, I guess that's the thing, isn't it? Carrying on that good vibe about the event. It is such a special place and it's a special part of the world. Can I ask, you said you went to university in Canberra. What I can't say beats too well. Tell us something about Mikey outside of running. I mean, what was your degree and is this your whole life or is that something that is just a part of?
Yeah, try to make it a part of. I think running is something that can take over if you let it. But I did my degree in environmental science and botany. But I kind of after my honours degree, I realised I really did not enjoy research because it was pretty much sitting inside a lab, scanning leaves all day. So didn't really enjoy that. But now I work at a primary school doing like learning support assistance with kids with additional needs. And I work full time in that and getting my master's degree. So try and fit running around that basically. Yeah.
That's so cool doing something like learning support assistant or that it really does bring back to it's integral in a child who does have sort of enduring or specific needs. It's an integral part of their experience growing up. It's really kind of make or break, hey?
Yeah.
Big part.
Yeah, cool. It's nice to feel like I work a lot with very specific, build relationships with one child a lot. So it's kind of nice to feel like you're kind of remembering when I was a kid and you'd see an older guy and who was, and you would really look up to them. Often it's young boys that I'm working with. So kind of remembering what to have an older male role model when I was younger. So I feel like a lot of young boys, it's often women working in LSA work. So it's nice.
Yeah, it's super important, isn't it? That sort of that having a safe, appropriate, and adaptive male role model for young men and young women, actually.
Yeah, for sure.
So, not to put too fine a point on it, but I mean, I feel like I'm turning to ash in front of you. You've got some years ahead of you, and I am the portrait of Dorian Gray that's in the attic. What does a successful journey as a runner look like to you?
Staying healthy for as long as I can. When I'm younger, I think I kind of jumped up in the distances quite quickly. I've recently got a coach who's kind of recommended that I maybe step down a little bit and race a bit shorter, which is why I've done a couple of shorter races this year, which I think has been really good for my development as a runner. But yeah, I think successful progression is just hopefully I can be racing for as long as I can. Like, I just really enjoy going to events and racing, and it's really fun. So if I can do that when I'm 45 or 50, that means I've got 20 really fun years of a career ahead of me, which is great. Or older. You know, I can race until I'm 85. I think the oldest entrant is 84 in the 50K. Yeah. Yeah, which is awesome. I get my dad to do one, but he won't.
Keep trying.
Yeah.
There's plenty of years left yet. Speaking of enjoyment, what advice would you give to people that are running their first 100 or 50K tomorrow? What's the wisdom that you can impart? How can they go about it?
I'll echo Charlie and say eat early and eat often from the start. Lean on other runners. Like, if you're racing with hundreds or thousands of other people. So have a chat with them early when you still feel like having a conversation.
It's an interesting context that we're in culturally, isn't it? That I've heard now the term sub-ultra distance being bandied around, for trail. Yeah. I think it was in an article in maybe it was Outside or some publication. They were talking about someone specialising in sub-ultra distance. How was it, turning up to something like Buffalo Stampede 20K Sky Race? What is the experience of a race like that, at that intensity like?
I loved it so much. It's like going out, and I really enjoyed going out and doing like really hard training sessions. And it kind of felt like a really, really hard training session instead of this different kind of lengthy, painful effort. Like in an ultra, it doesn't hurt until the end, and then it's this weird, tired, fatigue kind of pain. But in a 20K, it's just like lactic pain. But I've really enjoyed it. I thought it was really fun. You get to the finish line and you still feel like eating. You can have a drink and enjoy your evening with your friends instead of just like dying in a puddle at the end. So yeah, hopefully I can race some more 20s in the future.
Remain functional.
Yeah.
And I mean, same question as Charlie. What does the rest of the year or next year have in store for you?
Yeah, I think we're planning on probably doing some single track events. So going over to Hounslow, which is just in the other valley, over that way, maybe. Dunstan, help me out. That way. To do like the 45K there. And then hopefully over to the first Asia Pacific Trail Championships to do the long course, I think. And then probably enjoy Christmas.
So Capital Cowboys on tour. This is
Yeah.
what's happening.
Yeah.
We'll expect some good Insta updates from you guys.
Yeah, there'll be an album to go with it, with the tour. It's all country music.
Ain't nothing wrong with that. I mean, just one final question, because I think that's so important, isn't it? We get sucked, as an everyday athlete, you get sucked into thinking about, I have to do X event or X event and X event, and if I'm not doing this many a year or whatever, what's a good break for you like to get recovered?
Yeah, completely important. It's more than, it's almost not even the physical recovery. It's just like the mental recovery, to be able to not even consider training as a concept in what you're doing with your time. You can enjoy your Christmas, New Year's and everything. I think it's just important for a mental reset and kind of recheck into what life was like before you dedicated so much time to training, which kind of revitalizes your inspiration to do the next thing, as well as giving a break and enjoying the other things in life that you love.
Look, thanks so much. It's lovely to get the chance to speak to you, and I wish you all the best for tomorrow. Please, everyone, give a warm round of applause. Michael Dimunates, thank you.
All right. And last but by no means least, I'd like to welcome to the stage somebody who needs little introduction. She's a former Tarawera 50K champion, third place Western States finisher. She's Ironman, 10th at UTMB. She's won Tarawera Ultra Trail 100 mile. She's an absolute force of nature and an inspiration to so many. She's taking on the 100K tomorrow. Please welcome Lucy Bartholomew. Sorry. Back in the Blue Mountains, we call it Lucy's birthday party as the alternate name of the race, right?
Exactly.
How are you?
Yeah, I'm super happy to be here. I was thinking this morning, I was talking to my dad and I was saying, 10 years ago, I was just before my 18th birthday and now I'm a couple of days before my 28th birthday. And I'm like 10 years and I'm doing the same dumb shit. Like, it's just crazy that this is how I'm celebrating, but I wouldn't have it any other way.
So what is it that makes it so special for you? Like, why are you coming back here year after year? Why would you not have it any other way? What is it about UTA that keeps you celebrating your birthday here?
Oh, it's just everything. This landscape, this playground, this backdrop is incredible, but it's the people, it's the volunteers, the staff, the athletes, how people spend their whole year preparing for this race, the respect that's given. It just, I don't know, it feels so special. And every year at the end of April, I'm like, nah, man, sign up, do it. Like, it's worth it. And I never regret the decision.
Lucy, 2023 was a huge year for you. How's 2024 going so far?
Oh, it got off to a little bit of a rocky start. I was at Black Canyon 100K racing to try and get back into Western States. Didn't go super well. It's a big reason why I'm here today or for tomorrow is to try and rewrite that story of what happened out there, right the wrongs, and kind of build the ramp towards UTMB. And in a couple of weeks, I'll do Cairns Ironman along the way. So I've been swimming and cycling probably more than I should be more running, but we'll see if it translates out there.
Ironman's quite the recovery from it. I mean, but you've got form in doing that. How were you after, you did UTMB and then a little while later you're at Kona? How was that?
Yeah, it was incredible to go from UTMB, which is, just hectic, Olympics, amazing experience. And, to scrape into the top 10 was my wildest dreams.
Scrape.
Oh, it's seriously scrape, man. I was dragging myself through town. I went in with I always thought I'd do UTMB twice, once to see it and once to race it. So this was my seeing it year last year, and this year I'll go back with maybe a little bit more oomph and confidence in it. But Kona, the other side of things, was really, really cool to see what the World Championships, the home of triathlon, and I just respect both sports, and to do them back-to-back is awesome. The cool thing is if I qualify at Cairns for the World Championships, which would be in Nice, which would be 2 weeks after UTMB. And cross the bridge when it comes. But we'll see if we can shorten that 5-week gap to 2 weeks. And first I got to do Cairns and I got to do tomorrow as well.
I guess it's putting one foot in front of the other. We were when we were sort of gaming this out last night, we were reflecting. You mentioned that your first race here was 18 and your 28 next week, and it's the sense that you've been around for a very long time. You're a very seasoned veteran, and you're also got many, many years ahead of you. What do you think's contributed to your longevity in the sport? I think about someone like Ryan Montgomery, same thing. Just 30 and's done every single race under the sun in most distances. What is that sort of longevity? What's attributed to that?
Yeah, I think what's been really cool for me is not putting myself in a box. I went straight to the 100K distance, but at UTA I've raced the 11K, the 22K, the 50K, and the 100K. And I think just having that different stimulus, it's very exciting to race different ways. And I think the people around me and the kind of the vibe that I am surrounded by is kind of like, no day defines you, but how you move forward from that day does. And, I will continually show up, and whether I never put a bib on again, I would always go for a run every day. And so it's a deep love and a deep passion. And now that I've kind of built up, being a part of the community and have like a bit of a platform, it's kind of like I want to spread that to as many people, and that motivates me a lot. I just cannot wait for tomorrow to come up behind those 50Kers and just like the bum tats and the high fives and the excitement that goes on. It's electric to go up Kadumba with them and be like, dude, I see you, we're hurting together, let's just get up this damn thing and then sit down.
You never give that one?
No.
So you kind of alluded to it there. There are kind of responsibilities, I guess, and pressures that come with being an elite athlete or a professional athlete. Do you feel like when it comes to social media, do you feel pressure to post what's popular or doing well stats-wise, or would you just go, this is just me and I'm just saying whatever I want and I don't care what kind of engagement I get?
Yeah, I definitely have changed my relationship with social media, where it was more just like put out what people want to see. And then I realized that what people want to see is actually the hard stuff and the stuff that they can relate to. And, the people at the front of the field, the people at the middle of the field, and the people at the back of the field, we all have the same thoughts, doubts, emotions, highs, lows. And I think it's important to kind of share that. And just before a race like this, I've stood on this start line many times. I've run in the Blue Mountains a whole bunch, and I still have anxiousness and doubts and concerns and questioning everything. But I have a lot of belief in what a human body can do, and when a whole bunch of human bodies come together, what we're capable of. And I think leaning on that is really important, and thanking everyone around you because they're going to help lift you up tomorrow.
And on that, I mean, we've all, you talk about doubt, and that is a universal. Well, there's very few people who could say that they have no self-doubt at all, and there's probably, I don't know if that's a good way to be. But you talked about how a teacher had said, you can't just run. You have to have something else. You have to have a plan B. In your opinion, how do we support? I mean, you don't want to go too far one way that everyone is going to be a professional athlete, or everyone is going, because there's parameters and there's barriers to that. But how do you support youth who have aptitude in sport or in any kind of thing that they're passionate about and they show aptitude? How do we adaptively support them?
Yeah, I think through supporting, you just provide opportunities. It's being able to be someone that if someone they show a talent or they show a passion for something, being able to connect over that and then help each other rise. A rising tide lifts all ships. And so I think the collective community, sometimes ultra runners and trail runners, we have a bit of a lone dog mentality. But I've become the athlete I am today because at some point I let the guard down and said, can someone help me? Because we all have our fields that we're more experienced in, and if we all bring that together, then it's going to bring out the best in everyone. So I think just being willing to ask for help, to provide that support, and to realize that the space is big enough for everyone. It's not like you're getting replaced by someone else. It can be a shared field.
And the sport is growing. We're seeing massive growth in the sport and change. And this is something Bero and I were talking about on the start line this morning. What do you think are the values or the important kind of traits of trail running, and how do we retain that as our sport grows?
Yeah, I mean, I saw that Ultra Trail Australia shared that was 7,000 runners, and the split of male to female was just so cool, brought the biggest smile to my face. And I think, what we share in the values of this sport is just a respect for the nature, especially with kind of seeing what this environment's been put through in the last few weeks, months, years. We respect it. We're going to change the course and keep you off the tracks that maybe aren't best to be sending 7,000 feet through. So I think, respecting nature, respecting each other, taking it step by step. And I think ultra running, trail running, it's such a challenging thing to even put your foot out, get out the door and do. And I think from the 11K through to the 100K, there's no easier race, harder race. It's a challenging sport that, we respect what everyone's going through out there and where they've come through in the walk of life that they've been on. So I think that's the coolest thing. I remember watching my dad do this in 2012 and seeing the back of the pack and just people of every shape, size, from every background, and it was just kind of wow, you can see yourself out there, and it was cool. And I think that if we can kind of represent that, it makes people want to be a part of it, because if you can't see it, it's hard to believe. But with 7,000 people on the trails, I think there's someone for everyone to look up to and aspire from.
It was awe-inspiring being on the finish line today and reading out the names. I think actually being a MC should be a sport, because it was when you've got 50 people coming over and you're trying to, get, and I was struck by that there are 2,500 people who've come to run this 22K distance, and the look of triumph, the look of insult and anger, sadness, happiness, there was a smorgasbord of both affect and emotion. It was incredible to see. For you, what is the most, if you are, supporting someone, or what's the sort of the most satisfying thing that you can think of for someone you're supporting to achieve in an event?
Yeah, I think, everyone's here to kind of squeeze their potential out. And so sometimes that potential is, you just got to get to the finish line, or maybe it's the potential to actually just be smart and respect your body and call it a day when it needs to be called, so that you can show up again tomorrow or show up again next year. This race isn't going anywhere. And I think that it's really important to just kind of support those around you, and you bring out your potential when you help others, and it's a collective effort. I couldn't do it without my crew tomorrow. I couldn't do it without my sponsors, couldn't do it without the event staff that put this race on and allow us to come together. So I think, what crews can do is just look out for their runner and just kind of be there for them. It's incredible how just seeing someone out there clapping, you can lie to them and tell them that they look good. That's super nice too. But just don't tell them they don't have far to go, because far is a very, very unheard of term, and we don't know. You don't never know. Relative, that's the word.
I love it. Lucy, you are very popular and cool. We think you're pretty cool. Yeah, you're pretty cool.
Up for debate.
And we were talking about it last night, though, right? Like how when it comes to events, like Lucy, being around Lucy is like selfie central. And yeah, so it must be tough how when you're racing, like if you're lining up, you want to perform, but you also kind of you have this community that loves you, and rightly so, and you love them back. How do you balance that? Because it must be kind of it could be draining, right? Like, so how do you look after kind of your privacy and space with the rigors of being a public figure when it comes to trail running?
Yeah, I think this is an interesting one. Like, I've become I think people think that I get so much from people coming up and talking to me. It's actually, there is a shared energy there. If I can make someone smile and they can take a photo and they treasure that, I get that experience as well. And that means a lot to me. It's a privilege for someone to maybe build up the confidence to come up and say something. And yeah, I mean, I adore it. I protect my energy. I wouldn't be anywhere I didn't want to be before a race. So if I didn't want to be on this panel, I just would have said no. If I didn't want to be on the women's panel later this afternoon, I would have said no. Yeah, no, I'm completely honest. And so I think, I have my boundaries. I'll open the doors when I want people to come in, and then, I'll walk away, close them, and get ready for race day. But yeah, it's never, if it ever becomes a burden to me, the door closes. But I'm just so grateful, and I love this community, and especially Ultra Trail Australia. I open it with welcome arms.
Thank you. I know it's nice. No, it's a very nice thing, and it's a very it's this thing, isn't it? I think some people confuse boundaries with rigidity, right? Or boundaries with sort of lack of authenticity. But we all have to protect ourselves. Look, I'm going to let you go and wrap this up, but I'd like to ask you the same question I asked you last year to finish off, and that is, and I'm wondering if it's changed. What are you tomorrow? What are you going to be most thankful for?
Oh goodness, I don't even know what I said last year. Tomorrow, I'm just going to be thankful that I'm here another year. It's such a privilege to be able to put your body on a start line, have gone through the training, be here. I'm healthy, I'm happy. Fitness is what it is, and I can build into it out there. But I'm just most grateful that I get to spend a day. Saturday is all about one foot in front of the other, nibble, sip, eat my way through the mountains, buffet to buffet, with a bit of jogging. And that's a privilege of a day that I'm sure a lot of people would love to do. So yeah, just enjoying that, and to get to do it with that many people is it's going to be amazing wherever I finish in that field. And I'm really excited about it. And I'm super grateful that we get to do this.
Oh, thank you, Lucy. It's always such a pleasure talking to you. I'm sure you're already the people's champion. We'll see how we go tomorrow. But yeah, no pressure. But we really appreciate chatting with you.
All right, everyone. Well, I would like to thank you for coming. I'd like to thank Lucy and Charlie and Mikey and Ali for your, it's so nice that you're here. I certainly would have been a nervous wreck without you. That's it for today. Please give a warm round of applause for Lucy and Mikey and Charlie. And for those of you who are running tomorrow, go well, have a beautiful time. For those who are supporting, thank you for doing the harder job. And for those of you who ran today, well done. We think you're very tough and cool. So, have fun, everyone. We're back in the library. It's quite calming, isn't it?
Yeah, you know what? I guess our days are so full of people and noise and, it's lovely. But just to come and sit in the library at the end of the day and it's quiet, there's just some pot plants and some books and furniture and us.
No librarian, though.
No librarian. That makes it even more soothing at the moment. Yeah, I feel it is quite calm, quite grounding. Yeah.
Day 2, Ultra Trail Australia by UTMB. Big day. How was your day, Ali?
Oh, far out, Brussels sprout. So up at about 4:30 to get to the start of the 22K for about 5:20 before the buses arrived, and set off all the waves. So they start at 6:20 a.m. and I think our last wave went at 9 a.m., something like that, 9:20 maybe. So quite a long time to be rolling starts, but wicked, really good energy at Queen Vic Hospital. Uncle David King, he welcomed everyone onto country, and then he just clapsticked and had a smoking ceremony that kind of just went the whole time. He said he'd got up to about 8,500 steps on his watch just from clapsticks. And lots of excited runners, just kind of doing a little woohoo or that sort of stuff across the line. Berriman and I must have been about 1,000 high fives. Some of them were quite vigorous. And set them off down Kadumba to make their way back up through Lura Forest and up Giant and back home. So I really enjoyed the starts. How was the finish line for you?
Yeah, the finish. It's interesting that it was at Queen Vic, so the course was altered, obviously. The start line was quite subdued initially, and even for...
You mean the finish line?
Sorry, the finish line. It's a big day. It's a big day. The finish line was quite subdued initially, and even when Pat Hennessy won it, it was still quite subdued. People were excited and it started to fill up, but perhaps for the first... the top 10, certainly top 10 men, and people started to get a bit more excited with the female. Not to take away from the racing, it's epic, and the fact that, your first finisher was done before the last wave even was on the bus.
Yeah.
So before people had
thing, I announced them, you haven't even started your race, but we've got the winners already. It was kind of weird, but so I feel you.
Yeah, so there's 2,500 people thereabouts, and then it was me and Disco Dave on the mic, and it just got more and more hectic. The Scenic World finish was packed with people, huge energy, and then just the floodgates open. So top 10 come in, bit of tumbleweeds, and then it just starts. And it just was this stream of people for hours, and it was full on. It was incredible, lots of names, and you're trying to read. You got one eye, you got the iPad, and it's going. Well, you know what it's like.
Yeah, I do know what it's like. It's full on, and it's hard because you want, you recognize what people have put into it and what it means, and so you want to call out every name, but Honestly, I feel like we need to go and work at the race course for a while and call in the races so that we can, and here comes Disco Dave around the corner and Magic Matt's just behind him, and like, whew, it's full on, and you feel that sense of duty to give those people what they need in that moment. But it is hectic when it's a really busy race like that.
And what Dave and I ended up doing is like we'd sort of take turns on the iPad, and then I'd find myself just at the finish line, just like basically just like yelling at people, like good on you, giving them fist bumps and just, like really bigging them up, and then we'd sort of switch. But it was beautiful, it was warm, and people were coming over and they were wrecked. Like lots, the cramp monster was like lots of quads, lots of calves, people just, one dude fully cast. He was sort of squozing amongst the bollards there, just laying like light as a feather, stiff as a board, and this real salty medic walks up. He's sort of like desultory rubbing at his legs, and she walks up and she looks at him, she goes, "Geez, mate, it's not a pair of boobs, it's a sore leg. Give it a good rub." Right in front of his parents were there and everyone, and it sort of shocked him.
We talk about stopping the signal from the brain to cramp with like a sour taste. So she's obviously gone for that, but just with what she's saying.
Absolutely. That's absolutely what happened. And it was very skillful and very funny. Just the right, like, just the bomb was dropped. And oh my Lord, that was just, what a moment. And everyone had a good laugh about that. But it was full on. It was really, really full on. And then we were up the hill to join you because I was up the hill to join you because how many Q&As had you had by the time you jumped in on the DCR one?
I just done one by then, so I helped Nick with the race director Q&A and briefing. And then we got to do the elites Q&A, which was pretty fun.
Yeah, it was really fun. I always find them a bit, the UTA ones are and you'll hear the elite Q&A coming up, but I always thought that the Tarawera feels a little bit more kind of, it's almost not a bigger deal, but it's people take it a little bit more like, oh, it's the elites. The UTA is real nice and casual. There were heaps of people turned up actually, and we had Charlie Hamilton, Michael Dimunates, and Lucy Bartholomew, and I thought it was brilliant. I thank you for jumping in with me. Really appreciate it, and I know Eugene does as well. But it was just they were gorgeous. It was just a really cool time.
Yeah. Big fan of all of them, pretty much, like I don't, how they say like fanboy sort of stuff. I don't get fangirlish about the elites, but I just love seeing genuine, good humans chatting about their running. And that was what it was today. And that was, why I'm a fan of those people. They're awesome.
Yeah, it feels like it's interesting, all around the same age, but you would argue that Lucy such a veteran. But all three of them really spoke about that fact that running is a big part of their lives. In fact, for the three of them, it's pretty much their full-time job, Lucy especially, but it's not the whole of their identity. It's really refreshing to hear that.
Yeah, it was. And I think just they all seemed to really remember to have fun with it and have a laugh, that's their hobby, that they're passionate about the outdoors. And the people, like I think that shone through in all of their interviews.
Definitely. And then, so we wrapped that up, which was epic. And then, what did we do? Then I walked down the hill to see you Q&Aing it up again for the Women in Trail Women in Trail panel. How was that?
Yeah, basically I was sat on stools all day today. It was interesting. Like I felt like it was, so I've done it at UTA before, I've done it at Tarawera before. I felt like this one was different. It was quite a heavy kind of a chat today. I guess at the moment, like women's safety on the trails is really topical. And women are feeling threatened, and men are also feeling like really like conscious of themselves out on the trails with women and asking me, like, what do I do? Like, what can I do to help? Like, how can, what solutions can we provide? So I think it was, and it's hard, like, offering kind of tips and tricks or to keep that positive, because it is a heavy kind of a climate at the moment when it comes to that. And then we kind of talked about other different areas. Like, I thought it would be really interesting to talk about with Lucy about sponsorship, because I think a lot of people don't understand how sponsorship works, or, like the importance of our actions to help create these professional athletes, where the money comes from or how it comes, and equal prize money, like that's really important as well, what it says about women in sport and recognising their achievements. So we talked about that. We talked about menopause. We talked about the juggle of finding time for training and the balance of the kind of, I want to say, burden of care at home. So I felt like it was heavier than I wanted it to be, because I'm a really positive person and I want to encourage women on the trails. I think we kind of went quite big picture with it, and perhaps going more about, like dialing in on certain areas and offering easy to implement suggestions is probably where I go next time with it. But I don't know, I just found out, Matt, that you went, so I'm keen to hear your thoughts. Like, what was your take on the Women in Trail session, and what did you take away from it?
I took away from it, so as a husband, as a brother, as a son, as a father, of girls, it's something that you made the point, like, that a lot of men worry about, women running out on the trails, and it's something that I do think about in terms of with Rebecca and Lola and Lily, who now all run, and Rebecca and Lola certainly going off into the forest by themselves, and they've got the dog with them, or they've got and it's not the notion that I think anyone will be lurking or waiting out there. It's that opportunistic kind of thing, and it's always that thing. It's always that thing that's in the back of your head. So it is always there for me also, and I think I have quite a skewed perspective on this, because for more than half of my life I have been in a profession where I'm like 90, I think it's 92% of my colleagues are women.
Wow.
So a whole of my life I've been surrounded by women in positions of authority, women in, do you know what I mean? And getting my ass handed to me by women, and being surrounded by women all the time, and so I think and people sort of think about, like, someone said about physiologically that women aren't small men, and that seems really just intuitive, but it's not. But where I go with all of it, like in terms of me being on the trail, so I passed someone today. I went for a run before, and I passed a woman, and she had a headlamp, I had a headlamp, and so what I find myself doing is I refer to everyone as mate. I go, hi mate, like that, and when I wave, I make my waves really vigorous. So really vigorous, like I do that with my hand, like hi mate, like that, and just keep going. But I think at the end of the day, like we talk about all these things, we talk about like, what can we do to keep ourselves safe from blah, 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 blah. And I think at the end of the day, men just need to stop attacking women.
100%.
Like at the end of the day, like it's not your problem that men sexually assault women. And if this is, sort of challenging or triggering anyone out there going, well, it's not all men. No, it's not all men. Of course it's not. But it is men. And it is men. And we need to actually, as men, think about, like, think about our actions, think about what we perpetuate, think about the systems that we work in, because I think about it's that bigger picture, that it is big picture. Like, if you want to make change, essentially what we need to do is smash the system. Now, I don't have any answers for that, but, it's absolutely right that people are going, to hell with this.
Yeah, I feel like, like I was kind of debriefing with some of the UTA team about it, and I was saying it's a hard thing because at the moment it's a real topic, and it's real for women, and it's a societal issue that we really need to address. Like in Australia, especially, like New Zealand, I think where women probably feel a lot safer, and I know I'm just speaking on behalf of me, but in Australia at the moment, like every 4 days a woman is being killed violently. So there is an issue, and I don't know what we do about it. Look, and one thing that I actually commented too was that, like, what it's like, right? We run because we love it. Like it's our free time. It's the thing that makes us feel good. It gives us purpose. It gives us focus. And when you see that invaded by women being assaulted on the trails or murdered when they're out running, it's sad, because it takes a bit of that freedom and joy away from not just that woman that it's happened to, but like you've seen in Facebook groups, like hundreds and thousands of women that are feeling a bit more threatened and a bit more unsafe because of those circumstances.
Well, I think that's the thing, isn't it? The first step is actually in this system, and trail running is a remarkably privileged. It's quite it's heteronormative. It's reasonably homogenous, although it's quite diverse. There is increasing diversity in this space. I think that talking about that stuff and actually going, no, let's shed the light on this. Let's, yay, happy, clappy, we're all here together. But I don't have to worry largely that I'm going to get that opportunistically sexually assaulted if I'm out running. It's just not something I worry about, because I don't have to worry about it, and it's actually okay to acknowledge that too. I think don't even get me started on the prize money stuff, because that's another, we can blow that bridge up when we, but it was, for my kind of, it was really good to be there to listen. It was really good to sit with, and surround, this is the thing too, like, it's just surrounded by like strong kick-ass women, and I've made a habit of it my whole life, it was great. It was great. And I think it was really worthy. I think what Lucy said was really amazing, like about when she was talking about, women underselling themselves, especially in that commercial space. She said it's not okay to get a T-shirt and a pat on the back. Really nudging up to that line with the big professional stuff. She goes, there's NDAs out there, non-disclosure agreements, but she's totally keen to kind of talk about stuff and made the point, as good as Courtney is, she ain't getting the same money as Killian does. Yeah. And why not?
Yeah. Yeah. I have no answers, but I think that's the beauty of having these panels and having these conversations, is that if we talk about things, it becomes more relatable, or it becomes easier to approach people to talk about things. Like if somebody's, and I know, like personally, I've talked about postpartum running and having birthing injury and how challenging it is to get back into things, and then it's been amazing because it's led to other women going, like that's happened to me too, like can we talk about it? Or just going, actually it's kind of it's kind of normal, so I'm not alone in this, and that's important as well. So I think that's a good way to progress our sport, is to have these conversations about these things that are tricky, like menopause, like getting periods, like all these kind of issues. There's so many challenges that we face and overcome, like we do, but it becomes easier to do that when it's spoken about in an open forum.
Definitely. definitely. And it was really edifying too. There was tons of dudes there.
Yeah.
And they generally just zipped it and listened, which was nice.
Yeah, I was really stoked. I was quite surprised to see so many men, but also not surprised, because we are surrounded by so many amazing people in our community that are incredibly supportive, that help us, that are our champions. And so, yeah, it was really heartening to see.
But that even wasn't the end of it for Q&A for you, was it?
No, one more race director Q&A and briefing for me. Which is cool. It's nice to spend time with Nick and to see all the people, that are invested in their races and, gearing up for tomorrow.
I demolished the shawarma before I came and saw you. So in the inter Q&A period, I had probably the best shawarma I've ever had in my life. And then, went to sit and hang out and watch Q&A, and went back, got changed, and then I went for a run, and I did because I needed to clear my head. A big busy day, a lot of people, a lot of, the social battery does get a bit empty sometimes. And it was incredible. It was, I must say, running through the Blue Mountains in the dark is a thing. It's a whole mood, as the kids would say. And there were some points I was like, I've pushed my luck here. I didn't, because some of it wasn't marked, and it was an approximation of the 11K, so I can say that I know what it's like to come up giant staircase in the dark. Not fun.
Was it not fun?
Well, it's fun, but it wasn't. It makes Ferber look. Ferber looks like the travelator at the airport compared to Giant, really, doesn't it? It's a series of ladders nailed into a cliff.
Yeah, it is. Steel ladders nailed into a cliff, pretty much. So I think, it's funny because the Blue Mountains are so well frequented by tourists because they're absolutely stunning. But you realize pretty quickly that it's a real adventure. You're actually in the wilderness. When you're out there, it is pretty wild. Hey,
it was really wild. And I came down Fernbauer into Amphitheatre, and apologies if I've got that wrong in the order, but I came down Amphitheatre and I came down Fernbauer, and it got real dark real quick because under the thing, and I had a headlamp, I had gloves, I had jacket, water. I was full of shawarma, so I didn't need any nutrition. I could have lasted about 3 days out there. It went it went good, really good. And I was like, oh, I'm overreacting, or is this just really rough? And I came around the corner, and there were these two young Chinese women. One had a Woolies bag with her, and they were just in the middle. And I was like, and they were like, and I said, am I lost or you lost? I had this kind of moment, either I'm way out of bounds but they were just, no, we're going to Lura. And I was like, and they said, how far to Lura? And I said, I don't really know. I'm sorry. I said, do you have a lamp? And they, oh no, got the iPhone light. Sweet as.
Oh, good Lord.
Off they trotted.
Well.
Yeah. So, I guess it was fine though, right? People do it all the time, but I certainly wouldn't be out there that time of night with an iPhone. With an iPhone lamp.
Did you notice too some of the kind of destruction caused? So we had hosted a training camp here 7 weeks ago and had gone through that area. Then running the 11K yesterday, I was just shocked, of all the slips and the work that had already been done to kind of make the trails passable. But there was some serious, trees and rocks and mud just hewing down the landscape in multiple places. So did you see that?
Yeah, I did. And there was that one part, there was a waterfall and it almost made a little beach. Yeah. And that was really jacked up, obviously. That was beautiful. But I did notice that. And there's one point where there's a slip and it's just it's just a swathe of destruction essentially. Yeah. And, it terrifying. But here we are. We've sort of looped back in the library. What are your movements tomorrow, day 3? What are you most looking forward to?
Oh, so I'm on the start lines for the 50 and 100K, not running them, just commentating. And then I have a little small break, and then I'm on the finish line through till 9 o'clock at night. I am looking forward to kind of hopefully just reminding people of the specialness of the ability to toe the start line of an ultra on this beautiful Gundungurra country and create memories, and to, celebrate having a body that moves the way it does, and then to welcome them back in throughout the day. And, hopefully just cheer them in and just enjoy that celebration of people pushing the boundaries of their bodies and minds. What about you?
I'm doing 3 to 4, either 3 or 4 till 3.
Yeah.
So I'm on the night train, and I'm looking forward to hanging out with you on the finish line, because that's going to be epic.
It's gonna be fun.
Good bolus of time. Do you know what I'm really all of that stuff I'm looking forward to. Seeing people we know. I saw some people, my friend Cameron, I didn't know he was here. That was absolutely, it swelled my heart. Got some of the friends who are here, but also what I'm most excited for is seeing my family. So the girls are here.
Oh,
they're coming up tomorrow. Yeah, they're in Sydney. And that's really special, because one of the things that I've really sort of yearned for this time has been family, because all we've seen, it's just been that connection, just so much family connection.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's, and I'm looking forward to, I'm really looking forward to getting it done, to being there. There's this nurse I worked with, and he was an old rascal by the end, like he knew where he was a manager of a team. He knew where the bodies were buried, and he could be at times the biggest pain in the ass, but also one of the most wonderful human beings. And at his retirement, he said, his name was Patrick, and he stood up and he said, there's no higher calling than the service of others.
Aww.
And there wasn't a dry eye in the place. Everyone just went like that. And I think about what we're doing, and not to be too like, oh my God, the majesty, blah, blah, blah. But it's serving other people, because we are there to facilitate, we are part of their experience. So I'm really looking forward to just bringing it home for people and making sure they have a good time.
Yeah, I think that's such a beautiful saying, and I agree. Like, it's honouring them in that moment. And I think that's why we see people volunteer as well, because when you do that, when you're giving like that, it just fills up your bucket so much, hey? And I think too, it creates future opportunities for those people. Like, I know personally from, crewing and pacing people, seeing them go through like really challenging moments and come out the other side just gives you so much extra resilience and self-belief. When you witness other people doing it, it kind of gives you a good nudge, hey?
Certainly does. And it's inspiring too. I don't so much get a sense of like the fear of missing out being here. I get a sense of like we're part of it, and it's a good time as well. You should probably get some sleep.
Same.
Yeah, I'm going to get some sleep, and I look forward to catching up tomorrow.
Bring it on, Matt. We're going to have some fun.
All right, the wrap up briefly and for context, to give a visual picture to an audio medium. Ali Pottinger, where are we sitting?
We're sitting just on the Prince Henry Cliff Walk above the Ferber Stairs, surrounded by eucalypts with just a gentle breeze, a few little clouds in the sky, the chirping of some crickets, I think. Yeah.
I'm looking, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 stairs in front of us. And they're those kind of long, probably each about 1.5 meters.
Yeah.
And I'm just thinking there's 7,000 people who've come up these stairs over the last 3 days. And some of them would have been like, heck yes. And some of them would have been like, oh, hell nah. how was your Saturday?
It was fun. Yeah. I'm sure, I don't even know if my answer's always the same to you when you go, how was your day? I'm like, fun. But it was fun. So we started off all of the 50K and 100K runners yesterday at Scenic World. And then I went for a little run out the Fairmont, and I got to see some of the 50K runners running past, had some brekkie, got changed, came back here to see the first runners in. And then I was just kind of on the finish line through that whole day up until 9 o'clock at night. Yeah, and it was great. Just it's always on the finish line. You just see people's expressions of relief and elation, I think, are the two most kind of common ones that you see. And yeah, just, I don't know, there's something that's so cup filling about it. What about you?
Pretty much the same. Well, I mean, I had the privilege of, well, not the privilege, I had the kind of relative ease of not having to get up to do the starts. And as desperate as I am to go and see the starts, I also know that, you know, there's a long day ahead, so I kind of want to hold a little bit back. So I went out for, like you, I jumped into the, so I'd gone out for a run in the evening after work on Friday, and ended up doing the 11K, which was epic, and especially because I started about 4:45 in the evening, so by the time I got along and was heading down sort of amphitheatre and stuff, it was dark, which was really, really cool, and really kind of pushed the adventure button up a little bit. Climbing up giant steps wasn't fun, you know, but again, doing it in the dark was fun. And then, so long story short, next morning, Saturday, went out for a run along the cliff tops, back over to sort of Echo Point and around there, and just kind of dodging runners, not dodging runners, like making sure I wasn't on the same trails, clapping people in, and then spent the day hanging out with my family who came up to Katoomba, which was excellent. We did heaps of touristy stuff, and then I was on the mic from 1500 until 0300, which was, or 1400 until no, I don't even remember. Was it 4?
I don't know.
Yeah.
You're telling the story.
I've lost my 24-hour clock. 1600. There we go. 4 p.m. to 0300. With your good self, and that was cool. Hey, like seeing the. I missed the first men coming in, but definitely caught up with the. We got to see Beth and Lucy and Steph come over. How good was that?
Yeah. It was really good, and I think actually Beth's interview really got me. That was the one that just about made me cry, because she just spoke so authentically and heartfelt about, like, you know, when it got tough, because it did get tough out there for her, that she just you know, had her kids to mind and wanted to show them that, you know, mum can do hard things, and that really resonated with me. And then it was like Lucy's I call her my little sister from another mister. She's a really good friend, and so I was really rapt to see her have another great race out at UTA again, and see her at the finish line. Actually, I'm going to add there though, because I meant to talk about it on Friday after our Q&A, and I forgot. And then on Saturday again, and at the Women in Trail panel, she had a naked wrist, and I said to her, what's going on there, Lucy? Because obviously she's just, you know, she did a Facebook post saying that she's kind of wrapped it up with Koros and thanking them, and that she's making space for a new watch sponsor. And I was like, who is it? Come on, tell me. Give me the juice. Give me the tea. That's what the cool kids are saying now, eh? Give me the tea.
That's what you said to me this morning. I was like, what's tea?
Oh, did you not know that's a cool kid saying, Matt? It probably was cool actually about a year ago. But anyway, so, and I said, oh, is it Garmin? Like, who is it? Like, is it Sunto? And she said, nah, I haven't got one yet. So kind of it's up for the taking. So it sounds like things, obviously finish with Koros, and she's looking. So I hope that she can find someone to sponsor her, because she's such a great ambassador for the sport.
So she ran without a watch?
I'm pretty sure she was running naked, that without watch. She still had clothes on, but she said, you know, like I'm obviously finished with them, so I'll put my watch in my pack and I'll run without one on my wrist, so that people know I'm up for grabs, sort of thing.
So interesting, isn't it? We've talked about this, and you talked about it at the Woman in Trail podcast. The Woman in Trail panel. That this is the thing, and Lucy spoke about it as well. Like, this is Lucy's a professional athlete. Her income comes from engagement. Her income comes from endorsement and getting to races and performing, and probably a very small portion of that is race winnings. But the fact that she's confident enough to be like, this wrist ain't free.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it shouldn't be, right? Like, she doesn't need to pay for them anymore. Like, she's pretty much, like, she's got so many incredible performances. That's part of being a sponsored athlete. So someone, can use that space and use her platform.
Wish I had a watch company I'd sponsor her, but anyway.
Maybe we should create one, Matt.
It'd be pretty terrible, I'm guessing.
It'd be a piece of paper with a dial drawn on it.
That's right. We'll draw on your wrist, but we'll use different colour vivid each time. Hey, highlights for you for the Saturday? Go on.
It was the finisher. So often Matt and I, and obviously Eugene and Bero and Dave and Kerry and Martin, when we're commentating on races, there are some tricky names for us from other cultures. But yesterday, and I was so glad because Matt was holding the tablet with the names on it and the microphone, and I'm leaning over his shoulder and I see this name pop up, and I'm laughing like, thank God it's not me trying to read this. And Matt's face is kind of like the jaw drops, and you can see him go, uh-oh. And
I'll spell the name, and I'll spell it using the NATO alphabet. So the gentleman's name was Whiskey Alpha November Kilo Echo.
And so Matt had the tact to go up to this man and say, hey, mate, how do I say your name? And the man gave... I
didn't say, hey, mate. I said, excuse me, sir.
Okay, that was very lovely of you. And I wish I could describe with words the gesture that he did, but basically he kind of threw his hands out, wiggled his hips and his hands, and had a great big jolly smile on his dial and said, it's wanky.
Yep, it was wanky. And he really owned it. He was wanky like that. And so I went, okay, it's Jim Wanky. And it got a laugh. It did. But he was just in the moment, like, he's probably had that conversation a few times in his life, and I'm guessing it's like the Johnny Cash song Boy Named Sue, you're gonna grow up tough.
It was just brilliant. I laughed so hard I snorted. It was so funny. So that was one of my highlights for sure. Thank you, Mr. Wanky. I appreciate you.
Yeah, no, Mr. Wanky, if you are listening to this, thank you for providing one of the highlights of my commentating career, actually. But it's also nice to be able to be in that space with people that I'm super conscious that I didn't, if his name is, Whiskey Alpha November Kilo Echo, I don't want to mispronounce his name, regardless of what it is. And there were some great surnames, but my God, Wanky was the top one for me. It was cold.
It was so cold. I think I just stood most of the day with my shoulders kind of huddled forward. It was freezing out there, really, really cold. We got like a bit of a biting, icy wind, and the high must have been like 6 degrees, something like that. It was really cold. So the runners did really well to kind of navigate those conditions all day and all night, because it was tough. Like, standing still was tough. The runners actually looked pretty good at the finish line generally.
Yeah, they did. I mean, recovery was another issue where people were sort of slowing down a bit, but my God, it was in the negatives definitely with the wind chill. And then we had a power cut, and so we lost lights, timing, and comms, so mics, which is difficult when you're a commentator. And I just shout out to the UTA team, like the person who was on, obviously Jake and Nick swing into action. They're trying to source a generator from Katoomba in the middle, like nearly 10 o'clock on a Saturday evening. Not an easy task. So Sarah from UTA, she comes down. She's got a bullhorn for me, which kind of worked for a little bit, but then sort of didn't. And then she's got a portable speaker. Then she just goes and comes back with a big, bucket full of cowbells and hands them out to the crowd just to get the noise. Aww. Yeah, it was really, really good. There's plan A, plan B, plan C, and it was improvisational, but keeping that kind of that experience, and Dave, God bless him, I was going through a bit of a down patch at that time. I hadn't had enough to eat and I was cold. Dave the Rave, he was on the finish line and he was greeting every single runner that came over and saying, "Hey, I'm really sorry we couldn't call your name out, but this is what's happened." People were like, we're good. I've got other things to worry about. But just actually that foresight for him, that was heartwarming. So yeah, and then kind of it was a tide of humanity. There was no lulls, so it kind of just rolled through. Felt like a bit of an ultra. The energy picked up after sort of midnight, so I felt got that second wind. But yeah, God, cold. What's that?
I don't know. I can't even see it.
There's something croaking at us menacingly. Here it is.
Here it is.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how was your Sunday?
Great fun. Yeah. So started at 8 a.m. and the sun was coming out. It was nice and warm. I saw lots of the runners that I coach finishing, so that was exciting because I woke up at 4:30 a.m. and it's really hard on a race day when people out there. I literally, once I'm awake, I'm like, that's it, I can't get back to sleep. I need to know how they're going. I wonder what they're doing, and I just want to be there. So it was so great to be back there and call them in. And then, of course, the kids race. So the kids race is awesome. You just see these little tackers tearing across, and Sebastian did it. So it's his first race somewhat on his own 2 feet. Yeah. And he was the only child to cross the finish line holding a rock and a stick. Yeah. And just he was holding them up almost like, how good is this? So I was pretty proud and excited mum. It was nice to be reunited with him. I kind of missed him a lot yesterday. Yeah. So the kids race was awesome. You get 100k finishes and it's lovely because there's a massive crowd there for the kids race, but also for the final 100k finishes. And I always think, it's such a brave individual to toe the start line of 100k and think, I'm probably going to take 27 hours to do this. Yeah. And it's starting in the morning, going through the day, going through the night, going through the dawn, and arriving there kind of mid-morning. Yeah. And I just think, you absolute trooper.
Yeah, it's a phenomenal output, isn't it? It's a long time on feet. And, you think about sort of, that's Tarawera, that's a sort of a good 100-mile finish. It's sort of 27 hours. Yeah. The challenge of this terrain can't be overstated, though, not to get so much sort of G-shucks about it, but my goodness me, what a place. Let's talk about Kate Avery.
Yeah, so after our final finishes, we had prize giving, and I had a message last night from a friend who'd screenshotted her post and was like, what's this about? What's the story? And at prize giving, Kate said, I'm trying to think.
So Kate is the winner of the women's 50k.
Yeah.
Excellent runner, and there was an obvious disappointment and a reasonable sense of disappointment and an obvious anger there. Yeah. That there was there'd been the
support provided to a couple of the men, and there hadn't been support provided to women, which we both know and are incredibly passionate about women in sport and equality and equity. So for me, it's a real gut punch. I totally appreciate it and recognize the importance of it. It was so in the prize giving, she kind of said men were given support and women weren't, but I know it's hard because I also know the team, and I know they speak every day about wanting to get more women in the sport and how can they make things more equitable for them, and so it sounds like it was just a bit of an oversight, really. A couple of the guys, so I think won. Can I name names? I'm going to name names.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
Well, look,
So-
I mean, Charlie and Mikey spoke openly about it
Yeah.
at prize giving too. So
Yeah.
the winner of the men's 50,
Yeah.
the winner of the men's 100, both young men spoke up about this too.
Yeah, and I think Sam Harvey decided to enter kind of at the last minute after DCG, and he got given a bunk bed
Yeah.
in a room, which was like $60 a night. And then I believe that Charlie and Mikey had already sorted accommodation, and they asked for some contribution, and they were given $500 each towards their accommodation. And I guess no woman reached out. And at that time too, the team probably could have gone, oh, we've given this to the guys, we can give this to the girls. But it wasn't kind of, I guess, at the forefront of their mind. But I mean, it's good in the fact that, like, there's been a mistake made. We know it's happened. It's definitely not intentional. It was kind of like, it was really sad to see that kind of downer at the end of an amazing weekend. Like, it's been a phenomenal event and so many happy runners. And we were on a high after the kids race too. But I mean, it's good. And I'm totally here for speaking out about improving things in our sport. And I know that the UTA team are all about it as well. So they are going to work on a pathway. Like, historically, Tarawera, there used to be an elite athlete pathway where you'd have kind of certain levels of support, and you'd meet certain criteria to reach those levels. So I think that's what's going to happen. And they said they had actually reached out before prize giving and said, like, we recognise that we've made a mistake. We want to rectify it. We want to involve you guys and see, like, get your thoughts on how a pathway could look, or what would work. Because it was an amazing weekend of racing, like both men's and women's racing, and the field, like, it's showing the UTA fields are strong. So I guess that's kind of a bit of insight for people that are wondering what's going on. What do you think, Matt?
What I think is, several things. I think, what I know is that people's very valid perception is their perception, and that's actually, so Kate's very valid perception, right, is valid, and that exists, and also I know that other people's perception is relative. So what I often struggle with is we can't say that because, X amount of people had a great time and someone else highlighted an issue, that one overweighs another one on the scale. Like, they both can exist at the same time. Yes. And I think that I feel I do feel admiration for Kate and for Charlie and for Mikey for raising that at the prize giving, because I think, and we talked about it at the, earlier on, that these are kind of people who are up and coming in our sport. They're in a different generation to us, and these are people who say, hey, look, this is happening, this is happening, this is happening. Yeah. Obviously, there's complexities with there, and I think the shame about it is that it can, the shame about it is that what it highlights massive sort of systemic and structural issues that just go beyond this sport. Like you talked about it very eloquently in the Women in Sport panel, and we mentioned it before. It's like, how can women keep themselves safe? Yeah. How about dudes don't try and rape women? That's a standpoint. Yeah. So if you take it right back to there's massive sort of structural issues, and I'm not talking about UTMB. I'm not discussing that because I don't know that, right? Yeah. But I think also, so we exist in a patriarchal society, and it's good that people are raising that stuff. I think that the sad part about it is I think it was a genuine oversight. Yeah. And I think what it does do is it plays into perhaps that side of the bell curve where you've got, and you've got a group of people who I think, like anything. So you've got a group of people who right now at the moment, as if UTMB gave them $1 million. Like, here's $1 million cash. I'll put it on the table. They'd say, is it in $50 notes? No, it's in 20s. Well, that's just wrong. You've done the wrong thing. At the other end of the bell curve, there's a group of people who are like such massive fans of, the organization, and there's nothing that can go wrong, and they're great. both those things are valid. In the middle, you've got people who are just here, they're acknowledging the atmosphere, they're acknowledging, the high female participation, they're acknowledging the beauty of it. And that always kind of gets lost when you have an argument made like that. You know what I mean? But I do support, and I think too, it kind of plays into that thing of this is the evil empire. This isn't the evil empire. This is some very tired, emotional people who are working really, really hard.
Yeah.
To put on a great event and doing something that they know, in the service of others. And yes, at the same time, acknowledging that it was an oversight, it was an error. But I guess at the end of the day, perception is valid, feelings are valid, free speech is valid, and yeah.
And it absolutely is. And I think you can have that and you can work together on it to create 100%. Positive change.
Yep.
So I think, kind of listening to each other going, yeah, we made a mistake. Like, let's work together. And because, the races provide people with a platform as well. Like, they provide them the opportunity to be professional athletes. Like, I'm sure that their social media will be off the hook due to all the coverage that they've had from this event this weekend. So that's, like we talked about in the Women Trail panel, that's kind of how sponsorship works as well. Is like, the more it's a bit fickle, but the more Instagram followers you have, or the more Facebook followers or whatever, TikTok followers, then the more you're going to get paid. So, that's, I think, work together to create positive change. And I think, they're definitely here for it. Yeah.
I'm just glad we're in a space where people can actually, can talk about it. And let's be honest, this is the thing. This isn't without feeling, but it speaks to, this isn't without feeling. This isn't without mutual distress.
Yeah.
And this isn't without and you have these discussions, and hopefully we're all robust and adult enough to kind of come to an accommodation. But I think as well, it speaks to that, just the theme of the weekend has been that, underneath this kind of, this is brilliant. We're in one of the nicest places in the world. We're just looking when we're sitting. But there's a beating heart underneath there, and there's emotions, and emotions aren't always like, yay, this is all great, trail running. It's just really inane. It's not. It actually speaks to us as human beings trying to navigate a really, really tricky time. Where stuff's really top of mind, and I feel like I'm aging by the second in terms of being out of touch with. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm talking, and this is the thing too. And I feel very kindly towards Charlie, because he said, "How old are you?" And I said, "Dude, I'm 47 years old." And he goes, "Really? I thought you were much younger." And I'm like, "No, dude, I'm old enough to be your dad." And not just sort of biologically, but appropriately old enough to be your dad. So I'm well aware of that too. You know what I mean? So I'm not trying to speak for anyone else, but just sort of standing on that other side generationally. These are the people who are going to take sport forward.
Yeah, that's right.
Steph, Charlie, and you've got, and it's not funny, you've got like Lucy and Beth. There is almost that sort of, they're on that transitional or that interstitial space, eh?
Like we talked about it, I think the other day, that Lucy's only turning 28, and
she's
Charlie
a
and
year
Mikey
older than Mikey.
Yeah, she's just got, I guess, so much wisdom from her years in the sport, and Beth too. Like because she mentioned it at prize giving, but she had a really positive spin on things. I think. I guess just that kind of maturity and years in the sport and professionalism.
To round it off, I think about Uncle Dave King. I think about Uncle Dave King. I think about, we're on country, and there's a real sense, he said, when you wake up at the campfire, the first thing you want to do is get on country. And I think about the people who've been hanging out, being on this country for millions and millions of years. It was tough. Real stuff happens. Stuff gets worked out of nature, emotions get worked out of nature, disputes get worked out of nature in this country. This is by no means the first or last time that powerful conversations have been had in this space. So I'm here for it going forward, and I'm hopeful that will be back next year. I'm dead. Well, can't keep me away. And that, you know, this event and these conversations are going to keep going for many, many years. So, yeah. Ali, thank you for jumping in and doing the Q&A and you know, stepping up when, you know, we were a little lost lamb without his best mate here. It's just been such a pleasure.
I'm working on growing my beard, okay?
Cool.
Nah.
Take that, Gen Z.
It's been amazing. I really enjoy the chats that we have both on and off the mic and on, you know, like when we're commentating as well, because I think we're quite aligned with just relishing the opportunity to cheer runners in and be a fun part of our sport. So yeah, thank you for having me, and thanks for hanging out again in the Blue Mountains. It's been so much fun. I love UTA. I always say UTA weekend, there's nowhere else I'd rather be. Like there's just something so special about this area, and the people that put the race on, right? Like the UTA team. When I did the 11K, I just ran and took selfies with all my mates that I kind of have a yearly reunion with, because I love them so much. They're just such fun people, and we have so many good times, and I can't wait to do it all again already.
Yeah, let's put a point in it there. Yeah, see you next year. It's gonna be so good.
Thanks, Rigby.